Hey guys, we're back with another build today, and we are using Lucky Pants along with Thorn, as Thorn is one of the weapons that is just building a crap ton of bolt charge consistently, so we're going to build that in with our damage increase with Lucky Pants. Yes, technically this build is way better on Titan because you can just slap on the new aspect and Thorn, and that's really all you have to do for the most part. But with this build, we'll be swapping our weapons. We'll be using at least one Rolling Storm weapon. Having a Rolling Storm weapon is nice. If you don't have a Watchful Eye with Rolling Storm, you can use Psycho Pump instead. Although for the purpose of this video, I just liked using Watchful Eye because of Overload Machine Gun, as you'll see in some of the gameplay coming up. So let's get into our subclass. We're going to be using Tempest Strike, and that's only because it allows us to gain stacks of Bolt Charge, or a stack of Bolt Charge, when we defeat jolted targets, which is very nice. We're going to be jolting a bunch, especially with Tempest Strike. We also have a Volt Shot and Indebted Kindness on, so just plenty of Jolt and Ascension, solely for the purpose of jolting a little bit more, as well as being amplified, which is really strong this season. So aside from Spark of Resistance, we have a lot of fragments that are going to be building into Bolt Charge just to get as much as we can, because I want this build to be good outside of this season, because a lot of the artifact mods make Bolt Charge pretty easy to get. So that's why we're building into it with our fragments. Spark of Resistance is just really good because you always want more resist if you can get it, especially in high level content. If you're in lower level stuff, and you can just swap this out for pretty much anything that isn't already in this slot. So yeah, feel free if you're in lower level stuff. But if you're in endgame content, master, whatever, then definitely have Spark of Resistance. Spark of Ions, because we're going to be defeating a bunch of jolted targets. We're also going to be killing targets with a Bolt Charge, so Ionic Chase is another way to get some ability energy. Spark of Shock, so that our Arc Grenade jolts. Remember, jolting targets is very important for Tempest Strike. That's going to give us Bolt Charge. Spark of Volts. Finishers will make you amplified, as well as grant you a stack of Bolt Charge. So if you get a finisher off, that is actually a good thing. And Spark of Frequency, not so much for the first part, although it is nice because your melee hits will increase your weapon's reload speed and stability for a short duration. But while you are amplified, the effects are increased, and you gain increased stacks of Bolt Charge from all sources. Now, the same reason we have Disorienting Blow on as for most of our fragments is because it grants you a moderate amount of Bolt Charge. It also blinds enemies, which is extremely strong right now, especially if you're fighting unstops. You'll see me use it a couple times in the Lost Sector gameplay. You'll also get amplified from it, and Storm Grenade is just really strong. Pulse Grenade is a good option as well. If you want to really build into blinding stuff, Flashbang is also a solid option. Everything else is meh for the most part. And as for armor mods, this is what I mostly recommend. Kinetic Siphon for the most part, because you're going to be getting a ton of kills with Thorn, at least for the most part, and making a ton of orbs to proc recuperation, because this build does not have a ton of healing, which is why we also have Powerful Attraction on. So when you use your Ascension, or maybe you just dodge, you can suck up those orbs, get some healing. And we have Kinetic Holster, so when you swap to your energy weapon or your machine gun or whatever you end up using, be it Psycho Pump or something else, you will have your hand cannon reloaded ever so slightly. We'll get into other options aside from Thorn, but Thorn is just a really solid option, again, because the poison effect, I believe, makes Bolt Charge gain a little bit faster. So that's why we're using it here. Time Dilation to increase our armor charge duration. And aside from that, really everything else is arbitrary. We do have Heavy Handed on for our Tempest Strike kills, as well as the Kinetic Loader if we need to reload, just because Thorn's base reload is not great. So yeah, if you have Malfeasance, it actually wouldn't be a bad option, and in the Lost Sector that I do, it's actually a really good option. I was using a prismatic version of this build just to test it out in the GM Hypernet Current this week, and it's pretty fun, I'll admit, but I wanted to make an arc version of this build just to have a way to get an immense amount of bolt charge outside of the artifact mods, but they do help. So if you are running this build, I would recommend having Defibrillating Blast, which is really strong for any lost sector or anywhere you have champions, like a GM as well. Stunning a champion grants maximum stacks of bolt charge, triggers an arc bolt that heals you and jolts combatants that it damages. Very, very strong. Flashover, when you gain maximum bolt charge, you also become amplified. Lightning bolts deal more damage. Then you have Dielectric, defeating arc debuff to targets grants bolt charge. And also if you're running Hypernet, this is not a bad perk to run either. I haven't really tested it out, but it sounds really good in theory because Disrupt and Exhaust are really, really strong. Think of it like Sever as well. As you can see, exhausted targets deal reduced outgoing damage. And yeah, also another really, really strong artifact perk this season. And then of course, if you wanted to pair it with Photonic Flare, defeating an exhausted or severed target with arc damage releases a blinding burst. So some more blinding. Exhaust is applied by overload disrupting combatants or by weapons with the Psycho Hack or Subjugation origin traits. So yeah, plenty of synergy in this artifact, and yeah, definitely increased ways to get bolt charge, but this is a build that you should be able to use outside of this season. Let me know if you are watching it, maybe in Frontiers or later, and get out there and enjoy your Lucky Pants Titans. You know, really, you could just slap on Lemon or Thorn, and I'm going to test it out and see if there's some build in that area with Titans, but for the most part, you don't really need to build into it. Anyways, that's it. Enjoy the gameplay, and I'll see you in the next one.